Thank y'all for being out here this evening to go over the budget workshop with us. Um, I think the city manager would like me to go to her first, so,
Yes,
Vicki?
thank you. Just a couple of things we want to talk about before we get into the budget, and Kiki's going to come up, and you get a chance to ask some questions. Uh, we talk about the hazard mitigation grant program. The city has submitted over 23 grant programs. All of these programs will be to address our flooding issues, our stormwater issues, uh, uh, any of those issues. Just let me read you a couple of them that are on here. You have the City of Lynn Haven Railroad Ditch System. You have 11th Street Drainage, Dundee Drive, Mosley Drive, Lift Station 2, Lift Station 4. You have Aberdeen Parkway Drainage, ACME Drainage, Indiana, 24th Street, 19th Street Drainage, Virginia Avenue Drainage, 1103 Wyoming Drainage, McCain Creek Drainage, 7th Street Drainage. All of these are, there are over 23 projects that we've submitted. And that was right after Hurricane Michael, where we knew there was some money available to go in and fix a lot of these stormwater issues. We went on and applied for it, and the commission actually voted to have a second arm of Tetra Tech do nothing but submit all of these applications so that we could possibly get approved for it. It is a 75-25 match. And so once we get word that these have been approved, it may be this year, end of this year, we'll go in and readjust our budget so we can get started on some of these projects. Particularly another thing that we need to think about, talk about, is that for the past 2 years, we have put money in the budget, in our stormwater budget, for projects. The commission again has voted on to do some stormwater projects, and believe me when I say it has helped tremendously. I was out when this past week in the rain and storm with the rest of the folks, and we got out and talked to the folks at Vermont, and I said, just hold on, help is on the way, because Vermont is in our budget this year. That is a very, very big area that needs to be fixed, and the residents know it, and they thanked us for just coming by. They understand it's about money, and we're talking millions of dollars. We're not talking just a couple of hundreds of thousands. We're talking millions of dollars. And so I do want residents to know, and we talk to residents every day, that this is not, stormwater and flooding didn't happen yesterday. It didn't happen a year ago. It's been here for a while, and we're addressing it step by step and getting those things fixed that need to be fixed. And we do have kind of a tier of the most important projects that have to be fixed right away, and then those as they go down. As with this grant, they actually do it the same identical way. They rank them, so we're waiting for to find out from the county which ones will make the first cut in terms of those projects that we fixed. Bobby is working diligently with one of the other things that we're going to be doing this year too is kind of a push button program where when we can send all of these different companies out who have the equipment that we don't actually have to buy, but we can send them out to go in and fix or drain some of those ditches, suck out some of those places that are stopped up. I give the county a lot of credit. Right before Hurricane Sally came in, we were able to utilize GCUC and the county to go in and suck out some of those ditches, clean out some of those areas. Otherwise, it probably been worse than what it was. And so I will tell you that we are probably more proactive than ever, and it is a team effort. It didn't happen overnight. It won't be fixed overnight, but it is on our radar every day, how we fix many of the stormwater issues, some of the flooding issues we have again in the budget. So every year we'll put those in the budget that we felt like that would not make the HMGP list. So we start at the bottom, we put those projects in, knowing they may not, and so we fix those every year. So once you know that, so that's one funding source. And then another funding source, our finance deputy and finance director and I were talking, and we start looking at the impact fees that are there. Impact fees can be used to improve the city as long as they are new projects, meaning that it's not something you're trying to tack on to. And so we are looking at all of those places where there's money in these impact fees. And matter of fact, one of the suggestions that auditors raised to us is that you, instead of just kind of holding on to this money, you actually need to be spending it on projects that serve you best. And so that's one of the things that we're going to do. So just so you know, in the mobility, there's $163,000. It's in budget, but I just thought I'd point it out to you. Police, there's $355,000 in there. Fire, there's $40,000. Transportation, there's $590,000 there and change. Recreation, there's $514,000 there. Water, there's $682,000 there. Sewer, there's a little bit over $2 million there, excuse me. And then in stormwater, there's $587,000. So there are some resources that the city can utilize to fix some of our problems. And now that we're getting a handle on finances and making some changes of how we do things, and have some really active auditors that are giving us some good suggestions, you'll see some of these things start to happen. So I wanted to just give you, just ping off of what Commissioner Tender was saying and get some clarification there in terms of what we can and cannot do. We are identifying just about, and one of our jobs will be this year, and there is a plan in place. One of our jobs will be this year. Bobby's will be, he'll have an assistant director coming on. He will be tagged, that will be one of his #1 jobs, is stormwater, identifying every drainage, every ditch, every stormwater problem within the city of Lynn Haven. And then going on to address it, write a plan, manage some of the HMGP money that will come in. So we do have a plan in place for stormwater that's coming up. It's taken us a while to get there, but we're getting there. Okay? And I'll ask Kiki if she'll come up.
Good evening.
It's on.
Go. No, apparently. There I am. Good evening. How are you? This is phase 2 of the budget process. There have been a few very minor changes since last we spoke based on your direction. Let me get my it went to sleep on me. We did make some corrections to the capital assets that I brought those to your attention last time I was here. Those have been corrected. You were given an amendment piece of paper last time. Now it's in the bulk of the document. The other minor change was the commissioner's salaries have been adjusted downward by that 3%. Excuse me. So with that, I ask for your questions, and we'll address any concerns you have.
So, Ms. Roman, that's the material, the only 2 material changes in the budget are those 2 you just addressed?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Commissioner, have any questions for Ms. Roman? Does the public have any questions for Ms. Roman? Okay. Yes, sir, Commissioner.
I just noticed our general fund revenues.
Commissioner, if you would, relate to the page so we can all know which
Page
on it.
16 of 68.
Thank you, sir.
The grand total general fund revenues. I just thought that you might want to explain that our proposed amount is about $900,000 less than our 2020 amount approved. And this proposed amount includes the increase in our millage rate. So I think you can see the need for the increase in the millage rate there. I just wanted you to, if you could expound on the fact that, that does include our millage rate. It also includes our shortfall on tax sharing, so to speak, our gas tax and sales tax that came up short. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to explain it, but I think you can explain it better.
Just point out those areas from the state that the numbers are down and some of the other places where revenue is down.
Certainly. So if you start on page 14, the green column in the center, this is proposed for this fiscal year. In the darker green, those are the numbers that come from the county. And you will see that the ad valorem there, we're increasing by the 0.4 mils. So that will bring us in 4.3 million versus 3.7 million this year. The negative 176, that's our portion that we send to the CRA out of the 4,000,003. The $274,000 as compared to 309, so that's one of the deficits you were just speaking of. Sure. $250,000 for the communication services tax, down from 500. You see what we're having to deal with here. Almost at the bottom of the page, the sales tax municipal sharing, that's down $130,000. The state half-cent sales tax, that's down $300,000. And then on page 15 of 68, then the fuel tax municipal revenue sharing, that's down $34,000. So those are the big hits based on the sales tax, and I assume has a lot to do with the economy that we're suffering from right now.
Thank you.
If I may,
Oh, yeah.
for just 1 second. I'm more just making a point more than a question. I'm hot behind me, Graham. I feel like I am. Anyway, you don't hear the echo?
Oh,
Like a cave.
From here.
Yeah, anyway. Back on track. We have the budget here. Obviously, I agree with Commissioner Perno that, we see why we need to raise the millage rate, but I think everybody in this room probably agrees that we hate to raise a millage rate. So even though, depending on how the vote goes and whatnot later today, if we approve this, I still want to implore our city to make sure and see if we can't lower that rate next year. Because I agree with you as well, Kiki. I think a lot of it had to do with economic issues and the time frame after Hurricane Michael. So we don't have a lot of heads in bed, so to speak, but that can turn around pretty quickly in a year. So I know we're all on the same page. I just want to make sure and reiterate, and especially for the public, that I would like to try to see us lower that down a little bit next year, if any way possible. Thank you.
Understood. And as you discussed earlier today, the county will not be raising their millage, so therefore the burden on our citizens will not be as we thought it was going to be 2 weeks ago.
And just to also point out too, you mentioned it a little bit, Commissioner Aldridge, that we do have citizens that are still in litigation with their insurance companies about their houses. Some of them they still have houses here, and then some of them had to totally wipe off your house to start over again. We have apartment complexes that are not completely back online yet. So once we get everything back online, really this next fiscal year will give us a better idea where the city stands in terms of finances. COVID did not help this year, I don't think. And also remember too, next year We will have in the budget, hopefully, a non-ad valorem assessment for homeowners, everyone who owns land, and that will help also with the stormwater, that we've talked about that as well.
Thank you. Anybody else have any comments? Well, if there's no more comments, then we're going to close the workshop. Workshop's closed. See y'all at 6 for the commission meeting.